Welcome to Hey Podcasters, where we bring live discussion with our podcasters' guests, find answers, and gain new answers to some of the most challenging questions about podcasting. We believe it's the best way to get tips and learn.
Hello, everyone. Well, Margo Lovett back with another podcaster, and we are celebrating podcasters all month. Actually, we should celebrate each other throughout the year, but September has been designated by myself as a time for us to celebrate one another. I truly know and believe that we were friends, we were family, we were confidants, we were information at the height of this pandemic, and we're still going through it. So I think it's time for us to take a deep breath and celebrate podcasters. So here I am speaking with Queen Mother from Kenya. Oh my goodness. Thank you for joining me. I am so excited.
I am excited as well.
Well,
I love what you're doing. I actually had a friend who lives in California who actually told me about the show and what you're doing, and I've actually been following it. And when I saw that you were celebrating, I understood that because this girl jumped in the water to do what she's doing, and it's been a year for me. So I understand what celebrations are all about. It's a moment to pause and just say,
yes,
indeed.
Yes, we have to do that big hug and step back and get a cup of coffee or water or pop or whatever you drink, and
or
just
tea, as the Kenyans drink. You know, we grow a lot of tea and coffee here, so they drink a lot of tea. And the British, you know, had something to do with a little bit of Kenya's history. They drink a lot of tea too. It's a huge tea town, so I be drinking, and they actually cook tea.
Really? Well,
they cook tea.
See, that's what I love about Queen Mother Speaks. That's the name of your podcast, Queen Mother Speaks. When you speak, learn so much. We really get a lot. And I want to know more about that coffee and that tea because I love coffee. I have mine right here. I got a fresh cup before we went on, but it's all about you right now. And you bring this into a global celebration, and I wanted it to just go from it's much larger than the States. So thank you for joining me. Thank you. Let's let everybody know what Queen Mother Speaks is all about. I know that you come on live on Facebook every Wednesday, and you are consistent. So take us into your podcast. And do you call it a podcast since you are over on Facebook? How do you reference it?
Right now, I just call it Queen Mother Speaks. I don't know if I've ever really used the word podcast for it. Some people do. Some say podcast is a little different than what I'm doing, but what we do with Queen Mother Speaks, it is what I call my community platform, okay? And on that platform, it's for commentary on issues that matter. And the issues really go across the board. We do conversations to inspire, to inform, to ignite. We want you to hear something on Queen Mother Speaks that wakes something up inside of you. We also want you to laugh sometime because laughter, we all know, is good for the soul. We also, in Queen Mother Speaks, we give you insights on expatriating to Africa. And I don't mean any one country, all of them. Insights and information on what do you need to do if you want to expatriate to Africa. We have views on worldly events. We talk about what's happening in Afghanistan. We talk about what's happening in America. We talk about what's happening in the Caribbean islands over in Haiti. We also will give you what I call wisdom from the elders. We have, now I'll talk about that a little later. So we have wisdom for you. We do witty conversations, warm conversations with our guests. Okay. Yes. And last but not least, we give you inspirational verse every week that we're on. So we say to you, come on in, welcome, come on into Queen Mother Speaks. It's a very safe and comfortable platform, and we want you there.
Yes.
That's what we're all about.
Well, I tell you what, when I hear you, oh, I'm getting some feedback. Let me move my mic here and see if that helps. I love the fact that you have the platform on Facebook, which makes it universal. Do you find that your audience is a universal crowd or tribe, as we may say, maybe?
I would say absolutely yes. The statistics are showing us that we are some 60%, 63% women, okay, and almost 40% men. And they're not just all older men, they're also younger men who are coming to hear some of the wisdom from the elders. And the women are across the board. They're not just Caucasian women. A large part of the audience is Caucasian women, but the African American women are also picking up. They're listening, they're finding out that we're there. I will say to you, Margo, that I haven't spent a lot of time just yet trying to build an audience. What I've really spent time doing is bringing quality information to inform on things that are going on. So we do have a lot of folks who are choosing to visit Africa for the first time, or take a vacation, or choosing to move here, finding a job. We'll get a request and ask for something about that. We get a lot of requests about visas and passports. We fill people in on information about that. And we even talk about what it's like to find housing, whether you're trying to get an apartment or a house, what it's like to bring your children and go to school. We've identified schools. We've also identified schools that are homeschooling now, especially inside of pandemic. So we try to just fill you in with everything Africa that you'll need if you're choosing to come here. And as you well know, a lot of people are choosing, they're thinking about trying to get out of America or out of Babylon, as some people would say.
Yes. Well, that is just the truth. It really, at the end of the day, that is the truth of the matter. And now you are an expatriate. You came from what state? How long have you been in Kenya? And where did you come from in the States?
All right. I was born in a place called Birmingham, Alabama, USA, or in the southern belt, the Bible Belt, southern USA. That's where my family and I were from. And I've lived in many states because my father was a serviceman. So we lived in more than one state, okay, while I was there. My first trip to Africa was in 1974, when there was a thing called the Rumble in the Jungle. Muhammad Ali and George Foreman was fighting in what was at the time called Zaire. And I heard about it on the radio. And I wasn't trying to go to Africa. I just wanted to meet Ali because I was dating a guy who was very much into boxing. And I used to go with him to these boxing matches. So I had an experience. I knew a little bit about boxing, but I wanted to meet the champ. So they were having this contest for Miss Foreman, Miss Ali. And I went, like I say, basically just to meet the champ, but I wound up winning that damn thing. And winning it means I won my first trip to Africa for the Ali Foreman fight in Zaire. It was nicknamed the Rumble in the Jungle. And I not only got a chance to meet the champ, I also got to meet George Foreman, who was the heavyweight champion of the day, and my first trip to the motherland. Wow. That was the beginning of a life that spun over 50 some years now.
Wow. What? You're going to just meet someone that you admire, following up on an activity that you shared with a boo right now. And that's right. Next thing you know, you are caught up and on your way to Africa.
On a plane to Africa.
Oh my goodness.
And when we took that plane, Margo, I have to say this. Don King was the promoter for the Ali Foreman fight in Africa. And Don King is a believer of men. He's also a motivator, and he also believes in women empowerment. And so as we were on that plane, I had already been studying Kiswahili at the University at UCLA in Los Angeles. It's where I was at the time preparing to go to school. So when the fight came along and we got on the plane and we were landing in Zaire, I was like the only person who knew any African language. So I had a chance to move around all the stars on that plane and teach them a few words in Kiswahili. Thank God for Kiswahili. Thank God for the African professors who were teaching at the universities. So we taught them a few words, but not only did Don King plan for the fight of the century, he also planned a spectacular, how shall I say, musical concert. We had Bill Withers, what do we call them? The Pointer Sisters, Hugh Masekela, Miriam Makeba, the brothers Johnson. Who else was there? Bill Withers, what's his name? B.B. King. I mean, just stars out of this world. They had invited over to Zaire to perform, okay, before the actual match. And I got to meet myself, all of these stars. In addition to that, I met the champions. I met the local people. This was my first trip to Africa. I met the local people. I got a chance to actually meet in person the president of Zaire at the time, who was none other than the Honorable Mobutu Sese Seko. And I did have to practice his name. And you too, you will learn how to practice their names so we can learn how to say them right. But that was my first touchdown, taste of Africa, coming to Africa with the champions. And it was a very highlight, even today, of my life. Yeah.
What a way to start your life with Africa. How many people have that testimony? I mean, this is incredible. I'm sitting here thinking, do you know, by the way that you were able to move about in the language, that just set you above the fold automatically. So then that says something to us following our passions, as you were passionate about African studies. And when this opportunity came up, you were more than ready. So that says something.
Absolutely.
I mean, podcasters, let's listen. We have to constantly study, follow our passion, so that when these opportunities come, we are ready. Wow.
This is true. And you don't know where they're going to lead to. Because the morning, it was a Saturday morning, and the location was the Century Plaza Hotel in Los Angeles, where we were meeting to get to meet the champs and become a part of this trip to Africa. And I did go to that event. And like I said, I went because I wanted to meet the champ. But when I got there, it was a whole nother world. Yes. You see, what I didn't know is there was a contest for Miss Form and Miss Ali. Now, I am not a contest girl. I don't play contests. But I'm like, whatever I need to do today, I'm going to do it because I want to meet Ali.
Yeah.
So when I got in that room, Margo, there were all of these beautiful women with lashes out to here, nails out to here. Their bodies were shaven. They were bronze beauties. And I'm walking around the room saying, I'm looking at their portfolios like, wow, I stumbled into this. That's not the world I know. See, I'm a bookworm, okay? And I'm a preacher's kid. You know, I grew up in the Baptist church, fire, brimstone. You're going to hell if you don't live right. So this was a new world for me. And there were all of these gorgeous women, and I'm just staring at them all. But each one of us had to display a talent before the judges. We had to talk a little bit about Africa and talk about why we entered the contest. And I was very clear that I entered basically to meet the champ. And at the time, I was very much involved with my African world, my African life, and so was my family. My mother and father included. We were very much into African names. Everybody in my family has an African name, including my mother and father. She is called Mama, and the daddy is called Baba, okay? And everybody, even my older sisters, all of us had African names. before I ever went to Africa. So I was very much into it. And so there we were at this hotel with all of these women and what have you. And when it came my time to speak, one of the things I did have in my repertoire was speaking. And I learned that from a little child, from a little girl. See, my dad was a minister and also a very prolific gospel singer. And so being a daddy's girl, he would take me when he would go to preach. And then he said, well, baby, what you gonna do for the Lord? And I'm like, well, what do you want me to do for the Lord? He said, well, can you read something, baby? So at an early age, I learned how to read. So daddy would say, come up here, baby, in your own way and tell the people what the Lord has given you. And I would say a scripture. And eventually I started saying poetry, okay? And the Black church is the best place for any kind of self-esteem. If you don't have self-esteem, you go put yourself in the Black church and you will get it. Because when I say, and the Lord said, let there be light, they would say, I would just, oh my goodness. So they encouraged me, and without me knowing it, I never had stage fright because I learned how to speak in the Black church, and the sisters and the pastor and the women in the choir and the usher board, they would just always pat you on the head and pat you on the back and say, baby, come to my house, I got something for you. You know, so it was very encouraging. I grew up in a community and at a time like that. And so that's where that speaking thing started. And it just carried me up until now.
Well, it got you to Africa. That's for certain.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
My goodness.
Oh, my goodness.
Tell us about how you came in contact, well, deeper than contact, how you were I can't even speak. You are blowing my mind. I tell you, because I have so many questions coming my way. Tell us, Queen Mother, about the king in your life, and not your last name, but the king in your life.
Okay, well, yes, my family name is King. And I will say this, growing up, that we knew there to be two King families. The King family of Atlanta with Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, and the King family of Birmingham with Reverend Floyd King, my father, the preacher, the gospel singer. Okay, so that's how I have the last name of King. But as I grew up, in a family of 10, the baby of 10, 4 boys and then 6 girls, and I'm the baby. So I saw everybody grow up. And I saw what happens when the girls get to meet the guy. All of them fell in love somewhere along the way. They started having babies. They never got to finish their college. We all made it through high school, but as they started college and they met the men in their lives, they didn't get to finish until later. I was the first one of the 10 to finish college. Okay, so now I did that. I finished college, and at some point in my life, I was looking around, like, what do I want to do? Where do I want to be? And I decided I wanted to have a husband. So I learned about, you can ask God for what you want. That the cattle on 1,000 hills belongs to the Lord, and you ask for what you want, believing it, and you shall receive. So it was about 7 years that I had this constant prayer of, Lord, send me my man. Lord, send me my king. Send me the king in my life. And I would say to people, I'm asking God to send me, I want to be married. I'm asking God to send me my man. And I want my man to be a king. And what I meant by that is I wanted a man, and excuse me for saying this, I wanted a man who would love my last year dirty underwear. I wanted a man who would suck my toes. I wanted a man who would just love me for who I am, not because I was a member of the King family of Birmingham, but just because he loved me for who I am. So what actually happened in my life? I actually wound up marrying a real king in Ghana. In Ghana. This is how I know about the power of the word. When I said to the universe, I want a king in my life, well, the universe didn't know that. what I actually meant, but it knew what I said. So what we want in our life, it lives inside of our language. And I'm telling you, language is powerful. And be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. So I wound up marrying a king. Now, prior to that, I met many Africans living in the States, in the various cities that I lived in. And there was this one gentleman I met who was from Ghana. And he used to always talk about what this little country needed. They needed pens and paper. They needed books. And I said, I can get pens and paper and books. You know, all of us got that. So I would gather this stuff together and put it in a box, and we would just ship it to them. So for years, I was just sending stuff. As the time went by, and by now I'd taken the trip to Africa with the champ, I got bitten by what I call that African bug, okay? And I knew that I liked Africa, but I also felt that I had a calling for Africa, even though I didn't know at the time what the calling was. So back to the king, at some point, the village in Ghana decided to install me as a queen mother. Now that has a significance in and of itself. And earlier today, I was having a conversation with a friend, and she was talking about all of these women who are calling themselves queens. And I understand why they would even do that. It's raising themselves up with who they are in their name, but it's not just in the name. It's not just in the name, it's in your character and in your being. And so I'm one to stand for why we can all be installed as a queen mother, but it's what you bring to the table. And you do have to bring something to the table in Africa. They want us. Some people say they don't want us, but I've been doing Africa for many years, and I'm here to say if you bring something to the table, they want you. Case in point, what's going on in Ghana. If you haven't been keeping up with the news, see what's going on with Ghana and African Americans and the country of Ghana and the acceptance and those who are now actually receiving their citizenship and things of that sort. But back to the king. So when I came to Ghana to be installed as a queen mother, every village has a king. And then there's what you call the paramount king, right? So when I got in the village, I got to meet the king and his family and all of the other people, and I was installed as a queen mother. And the installment was about helping to develop that particular village and what they want. A queen mother belongs to a particular village and a particular stool. And you actually get a stool, a literal stool that they carve for you that you get to sit on. And that's what you do when you're there. You're on the stool. So I wound up marrying the king. And what can I say? The man, he not only was handsome, he was tall, dark, and handsome. He had a very deep voice. And he didn't know very much English. Okay? So we fell in love, and it wasn't about what he had in his pocket or what he had in his bank account. I didn't even look at those things until after we were married. Okay? It was about what he wanted for his people and what I wanted for his people. And together we would do things for the village. And that's kind of like how we connected. And I didn't get married until late in life. I was over 50 years old before I had my first marriage. Because again, growing up, I saw what happened to the women in my community and in my own household. So I didn't want no part of that. I decided I'm going to run in the other direction, get educated, make myself some money, and do what I want to do in the world, which is what I was doing. But eventually, I did want that man in my life, and God gave me a king.
You got a king.
It was so sweet being married. And had I known marriage was going to be so sweet, I would have got married sooner, but I didn't know. I didn't know.
You got what you needed. You got it at an age where you could appreciate it, and you all could grow out the village. I'm listening to you, and you are American. You are a lady of Africa. That's why you can come on every Wednesday on Facebook and challenge what is going on in the world, challenge the beliefs and thoughts of other people. That's why people are flocking to Queen Mother Speaks. So
yes.
There are so many. I feel like you have given us a lecture and an insight into what it's like to be an expatriate and have a larger than life in Africa.
Yeah.
I thank you for that. See, am I wrong when I tell everybody, and I'm looking at the time, I don't want to hold you up. Am I wrong in telling everybody that these are the reasons that you are just this open, you are just this transparent? This is the reason why people need to come every Wednesday to Queen Mother Speaks.
That's right. Yes. On the show, we have something we call the Talila Report, which is a report on current events. So Talila comes in and gives events on what's happening in the world, whether it's the report on right now Afghanistan or what may be happening in Haiti. Then we have two gentlemen that are called the Sankofa elders. Dr. Willie Butler, who taught at Florida A&M University in politics for many years. And we have Dr. Al Gaskins, who worked for the UN. And he would have to write policy for many of the countries in Africa, Somalia, Sudan, Afghanistan, Israel, you name it. These two gentlemen come together and they do a thing called the Sankofa Elders, where they talk about restoring democracy, what democracy used to be. So out of the mouth of these elders who've taught this stuff and lived this stuff, they're telling you what's so about democracy. And it's just great. And right now they just started a new series on the underdevelopment of Africa. And you can ask them questions about that. And they're talking about how that happened, how that went down. And I'm telling you, I just love having them to be on the show. And then we talk to expatriates all the time about their experiences living in Africa. And we bring on entrepreneurs, we bring on innovators, and we bring on people who've been having a hard time with COVID. I learned something called the COVID long haulers, who are people where COVID doesn't go away in a few weeks or a few months. They can have it longer. So we just take a look at all things in life. And that's why we say Queen Mother Speaks. And when Queen Mother speaks at age 70, people listen. So we invite you to come and see what Queen Mother Speaks is all about. May I tell them how they can get to us?
Yes, indeed.
Facebook.com/Queen Mother Speaks. Facebook.com/Queen Mother Speaks. So come on in and enjoy the show.
Every Wednesday. I sure thank you.
Every Wednesday.
This
5 p.m. Kenya time. Be sure you match it to your time zone. Time zones do make a difference. So we'll 5 p.m. every Wednesday live at 5.
Live. I love that. I love that. Such a well-rounded show that you are presenting to everyone. And happy anniversary. You made it that first year. This is major.
We did.
I salute you. Wow.
I thank you. Oh, thank you.
This was wonderful. This now see, this is why this celebration had to be global, because I mean, we talked a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And I know that you feel as giddy about Queen Mother Speaks as I feel right now. So now you know where to find her. Be sure to go over 5 p.m. Kenya time every Wednesday. What else can I say? Thank you, Queen Mother. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And I will catch everyone on the next conversation with another amazing podcaster. Let's celebrate each other from now on.
All right.
Thank
you. It's a beautiful day.
It is. It is.
Thank you for listening to Hey Podcasters. That's it for this week's episode. Be sure to follow us in your favorite podcast app or connect with us on heypodcasters.com so that you don't miss our next episode. We wish you happy podcasting and see you in the next episode.